On behalf of your host, Steve D., this is Bruce Buffer saying thank you for tuning in to Xtrem Lyfe. And now, this is the moment Xtrem Lyfe fans around the world have been waiting for. It's time!
I am joined today with three OCR female athletes, awesome people. Really, it's going to be an awesome conversation. I have a lot of high hopes for this. Little anticipation about where we're going to go here, and I just think it's going to be great. So, with that, I'll just let you guys introduce yourselves, and thank you for coming.
Thanks for having them.
Hi, I'm Kirsten Contant from Bridgewater, New Jersey.
All right, thank you.
Rosana Mato from Westchester, New York.
Perri Lauren from Marlboro, New Jersey.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming out. I appreciate it. And, a lot of us have tore up some of the same ground out there. We've been racing a lot of years of OCR racing in this room. Just a lot of fun stuff. I mean, fitness is a big subject of mine. I love it. Mental, spiritual, physical fitness, all of it. Because I think they all go hand in hand, and that might be some things we could talk about too. I mean, what does it do for you as you're racing? And with that being said, I mean, anybody want to share like when they started and how they got started?
Sure.
You want to? Okay.
Yeah, I did my first obstacle course race in 2011.
Okay.
And I had actually been struggling quite a bit. I put on some weight. Was struggling with metabolic syndrome, and took me a while to I was working out a lot, I just wasn't losing weight, and finally kind of figured out what was going on and started dropping some weight, and found out I was also 10 weeks pregnant.
Oh wow! Okay.
So during
Go Spartan race.
I wanted to continue working out through the pregnancy, so my goal was to do a Tough Mudder actually, which was about 3 months after I had my son.
Okay.
And so that was my first obstacle course race, and then I liked it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do more. The next race that was in the area, I didn't know about all this traveling for races and stuff back then.
It's been a lot,
and I didn't know anyone.
Traveling.
I didn't know anyone else who did it.
Yeah.
So the next race was Tuxedo Spartan
New
in
York.
2012.
Yeah.
So that was my first Spartan.
Tuxedo
and
Ridge.
I was like 3 that year, and then 8, 9 the next year, and then like 20,
multiple
and then like 25 the
trifectas,
following year. So yeah, and it certainly worked as far as the motivation to keep me working out and staying.
Because if you're anything like
honestly,
me,
I'm in way better shape than I was, now.
Yeah.
Whatever, 10 years ago.
Yeah,
so.
and that's what, at 47, I'm 47 years old. At 47, I'm in better shape than I ever was in my 20s. And it's one of those things where I've seen it a lot, where people go out and do a Spartan race, or they do a race, they do an OCR event. You either say, I never ever want to do that again.
Yep, it's so polarizing.
Or you're like, you drink the Kool-Aid.
You drink
Right, exactly. There's no in between.
And you're out there and you're running and okay, I did 2 races this year and 45 the next year. So, that's how it goes. But all right, so Anybody else want to talk? What year did you start? How did it all?
I started in 2012. I was going to the gym regularly and, made some friends at the gym. One of my girlfriends was signed up for a race in Windsor, New York.
Okay.
And she was supposed to go with a friend of hers. And her friend couldn't go, and she didn't want to not go, but she also didn't want to go alone. So I was like, what kind of race is this? Because I'd run, but I've never raced.
Yeah.
So she's like, well, it's an obstacle course race. And I was like, well, what
what
is that?
You could say it.
She's like,
what the fuck is happening?
I'm not jumping at bombs. Trying very hard. So she's like, you jump over walls and you climb under barbed wire, and I was like, oh, that sounds fun. So she sent me the link, and I looked into it, and I was like, oh, I'll go with you. And we only knew each other from the gym. We weren't best friends or anything.
Weren't like buddies, right? You're just gym friends.
So we drove up to New Windsor together, and we did this race, and she stayed with me, and she's much fast. She was much faster than I was. But she stayed with me the whole time, and I was nervous as hell, and I loved it. It just like, I drank the Kool-Aid. In one race. It was amazing. How, so on the way home, we were Googling every race, in the tri-state area, and we wanted to sign up for everything.
And there wasn't that many back then.
There really wasn't.
You had to drive.
Yeah.
I remember driving. We've
been
run
racing
around
a long
time together. And I remember, there were years, 14, 13. You had to drive all over the place. I mean, we were going to South Carolina to get races. We were going, it was insane. I would get in the car on a Friday and drive 8 hours to get to a race on Saturday and then drive home on Sunday.
Right.
It's kind of like a crazy lifestyle. I mean, now there's races every weekend right here.
Right.
I mean, it's a
lot more convenient.
Anyone who's starting now, you're lucky as hell because
lucky.
we used to have to go all over the place to catch a race every weekend.
Yeah. So we signed up for basically everything that we could from May through the end of November. That year in 2012, I think I did 12 races. 2013, it probably got up to 30, and by the time I was in 2015, which was my big year,
You're insane.
My 2015 year was my big year. I did 8 trifectas, and I participated in over 60 races.
Yeah, we both got our 8 trifectas together.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
In South Carolina.
That's from,
but that's when 8 trifectas was
a big deal.
Was easy.
Well, now
not
you got
easy
people
to do. Not easy to do, but it was easier than it is now, because now with them overlapping races and they're doing so many races that they kind of have to overlap. It's hard to do a Boston race one day and then a New York race the next day.
And they have them on the same. It's
it's
crazy.
Yeah.
So it's I remember that those years where it's the trifecta. I remember the first year trifecta came out.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that, but
I did, and
I did it the first year.
I have a single.
Yeah,
medallion.
I have that too. I have that somewhere floating around here. That single trifecta medallion.
That's my
they
favorite medal.
They put you on this thing called the Trifecta Tribe. I don't even know if it's still there, but it was a website that they put up with everybody who got a trifecta was listed on that. I don't know if you've seen that.
I'm probably on it, but I don't think
you're definitely on it if you got a trifecta that year. I don't remember what year that was.
That was 2013.
Was it?
Yep.
Yeah.
I got mine after doing Killington the first
Because I remember I started in 2011 was my first year racing, and I did my first race at Blue Mountain, the notorious Blue Mountain, when it was still just a sprint. And I remember running. I told this story a couple weeks ago. I was still kind of coming into getting fit, because I'd not been taking good care of myself. I wasn't eating right. I was a little overweight. And I had done the Shaun T videos. Remember those Shaun T videos, the insanity workout? So I was like, I'm going to get fit.
Yeah.
And so I did that. I did one cycle of that. And then I talked with my sister who said, I'm doing this race that this guy Dave, Dave Colell?
I don't.
Okay. No. This guy Dave told her about. And she's like, I want to go do it. It's called a Spartan race, and it's up in Pennsylvania, and you want to come? I'm like, sure. So I start thinking, okay. I start looking at it. I'm like, wow, that's insane. And I said, all right, I'm already in. I told her I'm going to do it, and I always do what I say I'm going to do. And I was like, okay. So I said, I'm going to do another cycle of insanity.
Then I'll be ready.
And I'm going to go kill. And I said, I'm going to go beat this guy, Hobie Call. So I'm like,
did you win?
No, no. So I go up there and I run that first hill, and at the end of that first hill, I'm like, my heart beats like 190 beats a minute, maybe. I'm like, and I'm breathing heavy, and I'm like, all I need to do is get to the top of this hill. Once I get to the top of this hill, on the downhill, I'm going to crush it.
Yeah.
I'm going to crush it.
That's my mentality every single race.
I'm going to crush it. So I got 4 steps into the downhill after running uphill for more and I twisted my ankle and limped all the way down. And that was my first race.
That was your first Spartan race, or that was your first race?
Period.
Ever.
My first race was a Spartan race. Ended up busted up my ankle. I don't think I ran again that year, but I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
I said, I am so coming back. After I went to the hospital, I am so coming back to do this again. And it was like, but you know what? It takes, like I said, you either drink the Kool-Aid or you don't.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a 100% awesome, positive experience. Because, yeah, I had a great experience, but I busted up my foot. Wasn't happy about that. But, you know, on the same token, one of the girls that raced with us turned around after the first hill and went back and just didn't even say, I'm done. I'm out of here, done. You know, so it takes a certain type of, you know, I think, and that's why you guys are here. You know, it takes a certain type of person to go into these races and keep doing them, even complete one. I mean, it's not easy. You know, you have to kind of test yourself, and it takes a certain mental toughness to do that. So.
Oh.
I want to make sure I get over there.
How do I segue? Okay, so I was not into, I mean, I was into fitness. I was a musical theater major, so this was like the furthest thing from my mind, like sweating and being muddy and disgusting. I just wanted to like dress up in gowns and go to the Academy Awards.
Okay.
But in 2009, I got really, really sick with depression. I was suicidal for like 4 years. I had to leave school. I gained like 45 pounds and I lost everything, my whole life, like my money, my jobs. I had no idea what I was going to do with my future. I was on no path. So I started running, and then in 2014, I was 2013. Yeah, 13. I was in Englishtown when they were doing World's Toughest Mudder.
Okay.
And I'm like, what are these crazies running around with these space blankets in the woods?
That was me. I was there.
Oh, there you go. Like, what are these? Like, I don't understand. Like, there's houses and people and mud, and like, I just drove by thinking nothing of it. And I had no idea what was going on. And then in 2014, I was like, I need something. I need to like jolt myself back into life. So I saw Tough Mudder was there, and I volunteered. I knew nobody. I was just like, I'll volunteer, whatever. I'll see what this is all about.
By yourself?
By myself.
That's awesome.
Just 5
That
o'clock
really
in the
is
morning.
That takes a certain type of person right there, because nobody you know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, usually he's like, hey, I need a buddy to jump off this cliff with me.
Yeah, I started
I've
by
been doing
myself
so
too.
much alone
Yeah?
too.
That's
I don't
awesome.
know. But like, I figured I'd meet people, like, you know, getting my weird breakfast bagel out of the bag and smearing my cream cheese and pouring the coffee out of the box. I was like, I'll just start talking to people and see what it's all about. And then I met a guy who was like, oh, you know what? Come, run with us tomorrow. We're all going to be in tutus. You can't miss us. And I was like, that's going to work. So I met up with him the next day, and like, they became some of my closest friends, like Justin, like Jackson and Alex Rosenwald, and like those guys. And then 2015, Catherine Danielle, like crazy cat, purple hair, catastrophe. Yeah, she was like, she's like, well, we met doing a show, and she was like, well, what do you like to do for fun? And I was like, I run some OCRs, like I've done Tough Mudder. And she's like, oh my god, you have to do a Spartan. I was like, oh, okay. So yes, if you insist. So she took me to Tuxedo. It was my first race, and all I remember is thinking, like, after everything I'd gone through, all the mental obstacles, all the physical obstacles, like being on the verge of ending my life and killing myself, was like, this is the thing.
That's a dark place. That's a really dark place to come back from.
Can't even put it into words.
Yeah.
Like, I could try, but it would take the whole hour.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to do it. Okay. But it was the perfect metaphor for reminding myself just how strong I was, and I knew that if I could tackle something as hard as Spartan Race and like make that a goal and doing it over and over again, then
Not only does she tackle them, but she wins them.
Yeah.
She wins them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And to be fair, it's for anyone listening, like, this was never a goal of mine. This was never, no one expected this of me. I was the worst soccer player growing up, like the worst goalie. Fitness was terrible. I can't imagine that. I still can't imagine I'm doing this. So anyone can make it a goal and make it happen. Just like give yourself the
Transformation is possible. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what this
for
is about,
anyone.
really. I mean, you could take your life from one spot and, it could seem a certain way, and then you could totally transform it into something else. It's
Yeah.
really important for people to understand that.
Yeah. So then now I don't stop because I feel like if I stop, I'll just like forget how to win at life. Like you come home from the weekend and you feel so empowered and
Oh, yeah.
strong and like. Shit, I did that. And then all of a sudden going to work isn't such a big deal. It's not so hard. It's not as hard as climbing Killington or
No.
like
No.
nothing is as hard as this.
The
So,
Death March alone
Yeah, like-
is...
You're like, if I can climb the Death March for an hour, I can sit at my desk for 8. It's fine. Like
Yeah.
everything.
That's what I tell myself
Yeah.
when I'm on Killington Mountain. I tell myself I would rather be here, no matter like how awful it is and how
Yeah.
much it sucks.
Yeah.
I would rather be there than working.
While
and
you're
sitting at
cursing
my
Norm
desk
out the whole
in
time.
my windowless office. I'd rather be on that mountain.
Yeah. It's, you know what, I think everybody kind of goes to that same place. It's better to be there doing that, and I hear people say it all the time, we paid for this shit. I'm like, you're carrying a sandbag
I'd
up
rather pay for
a
that
mountain.
than like a million other things.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
I-
yeah.
More than food, more than alcohol, more than cake, and I love cake.
Well, you know
I
what?
don't know about alcohol.
I know. I thought of you. I was like, everyone still wants their alcohol.
I mean,
There's
I love posting stuff like, okay, I did this today. What did you do? Because it's kind of like, you know what? I think there's a lot of people that really could use some of the motivation that you guys have out there, because there's a lot of people that they spend their week working, and and then they hang out and don't do anything. They don't get any physical exercise, and I think it's so important. And I've seen Spartan Race and OCR make incredible changes in people. I've seen people lose tons of weight just because they got, I credit Spartan Race with me quitting smoking because I was like, I think I was still smoking in 2011 when I ran that first race. And, shortly after that I
I
quit.
don't know how people do that. I really don't.
Well, coughing a lot, probably.
Yeah.
But, I remember I ran a 5K after that, the Lincoln Tunnel Challenge. And I remember I ran with a fanny pack on, and it had my cigarettes in it.
Oh,
I feel like I'm going to need this on my podcast.
It was ridiculous, right? So I ran that race, and I got to the finish line, and instantly I opened my fanny pack, and I think it took me like 45 minutes to finish the 5K, which was ridiculous. But
Because of the cigarette break.
well, I don't even know. I don't think I stopped for a cigarette. But at the end, I remember lighting up a cigarette, and people are looking at me like, "You're an idiot."
yeah.
And-
You'll get death looks.
Oh
if
yeah,
you
I
light a
felt
cigarette,
really
yeah.
like uncomfortable with that, and I think that was okay because I think I needed to feel uncomfortable. And after that, I never smoked again. It kind of threw them away at that point, and that was it. I mean, I did the gum, I did all this other stuff to help me quit, but I eventually quit.
Yeah.
And now, like I said, it's been years since I wouldn't think about it. But you can make transformations. I've seen people focus on something like this and take the focus off something that's negative.
It's
for
a
them.
waterfall effect, I think, and like just being around the community and the energy. Like one thing just keeps cycling into the next. Like, so running my first race became this is all I'm going to focus on. But then it wasn't all I focused on. Like getting back in shape meant I need money. How am I going to stay in shape? I need money. And then I was like, I need to find a job now.
Yeah.
And these were all things I had no desire and willpower to do when I was like in my deepest, darkest time. So it was like just the fact that I had a race coming up made me make better choices, which built my life back up. And I think that's for anyone who
Absolutely.
who does this.
Yeah, that worked the same way for me. I most of my life had pretty bad anxiety and depression, and really, I don't think I knew who I was until I started racing.
It takes
and it
takes the focus
just
somewhere.
same thing with the smoking also. So I quit smoking obviously when I was pregnant. Didn't have a cigarette at all.
Yeah.
After I had my son, I went back to like social smoking. And by
I'm not sure what that is.
I didn't smoke every day.
Yeah,
I'd smoke if I
just
was
when you were
drinking,
out
whatever.
or okay. I get it.
But then
I have a friend I think does that, but I think he's lying to me.
In 2014, when I started racing like a lot, when we were racing every other weekend, I decided I was realizing that even if I smoked one the week before, I would feel it when I was running.
Yeah.
So I came up with a rule that I wouldn't smoke within 2 weeks of a race.
Yeah.
So then I looked at my schedule in 2014, and I was like,
I'm not smoking until November.
I was like, I'm done. I mean, I'm racing every other weekend. There's no smoking happening.
I guess I'm quitting.
And, I think it's this whole snowball effect.
Yeah.
And then also, one of the other cool things was in, what was it, 2013 when we met?
Probably.
So 2013, I did a hurricane heat, and that's where one day in Tuxedo, I met the people who we're still friends with and racing with and traveling with on a regular basis. I mean, it's a
social
huge
component. Of,
yeah.
Of
Oh, yeah.
But these
It's
people
enormous.
These people are crazy. So it's like, one person decides they're going to do something like start doing back-to-back race days.
Yeah.
So then the rest of us are like, oh, well, maybe I should do that. I'll do that.
Let's do it
then
together.
Two of them then
Let's
two
all do
Then
that.
it's like 40 people going.
yeah. So I remember dragging her out on a double lap at the Virginia Super.
No,
the
Carolina.
Asheville Super.
South
That was hilarious.
Carolina.
And then she's like, well, once we're out, she's like, well, let's do all men's weight obstacles.
Yeah.
For the second lap.
We
I was
always,
like,
do,
okay.
always do the men's obstacles on your second. On the
So
fun
I did
lap.
on the
The
second
fun
and
lap.
fourth.
That's the
fun lap.
terminology. We've all adopted
Fun
that.
lap, you do all the boy obstacles.
Yeah.
But it's like one bad idea into another, and then one of my other friends convinced me one day to do my first agogi, and just being like, oh, just do it. I mean, there's
Yeah,
nothing
that-
involved.
That's a
Just sign up,
special
and I
kind
was
of
like,
crazy.
That's a special kind of person that does that.
But it's like these things just become normal because all your friends are doing it. So
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, sure.
Well, that's-
oh, okay, ultra, sure, that's fine.
Yeah, that's what happened for me.
Whatever. I signed up for the Ohio Ultra the day before this year. I was like, yeah,
I have participated in, I would say, close to or over, I haven't counted, but around 300 races
That's
since
amazing.
2012.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So
I've
many.
only DNF'd once, and that was for the ultra, which I will never do again. My body is not built.
I sort of pushed you into it, though.
did.
I'm sorry.
And I had severe anxiety the night before. I couldn't sleep.
But the thing is, I know she has it in her. Like, I believe in you so much. I know
I'm
you're
sure I
capable.
Oh, I know you
but
could
it was
do it.
like
Yeah.
it got into my head, and it's like when you're running that, because it's 2 laps of the beast. So
Yep.
you're going around once, and as you're going around once, you're seeing like 6 miles, and then it says 22 miles, and it's like, holy shit, I have
Yeah.
like so far to go.
You know those signs are lies, right? they're
Well,
all
Spartan
Getting
Race
better.
they're all lies.
But still, like when you're on mile like 8, and you see a sign that says like mile,
When you get back
18.
there again,
Yeah.
it's 18,
You know, it's like,
You're
Oh,
and
yeah.
you've already been in it for like 5 hours. You're like, oh my god.
Remember
like,
the year Norm decided he was going to put all
Patches?
the wrong mileage,
Oh,
all
yeah,
the
I
wrong
did.
miles on everything?
I'm killing
Like you would
it.
run,
Yeah.
and you knew you did like 3 miles,
Yeah.
right? And this was back before I think most of us even had watches to keep track
Yeah.
of that stuff. And you're running forever, and you see like
Yep.
1 mile. You're like, whoa, wait a minute.
Oh my god.
What the?
Yeah.
And
Killington.
Wintergreen,
Oh
one
my
year
God.
they did the mileage backwards.
Yeah.
Did they do
It was going down. instead
I
of going
remember
up.
that.
That's
I
fun.
remember that.
I did Killington as my first beast, my first ever year. Cat's fault once again.
Me
And
too.
it was like 17 and a half miles. 17 and a half miles.
What year was that?
That was
2014.
14 or 15. It
Was that
one of the
okay?
two.
Because
Yeah.
here's what you got to remember, and
first
this is the way they
season
used to be. And I think they've changed it now, but they never included the carries in the mileage.
Right. They
That
did.
was
Now
the-
they
None
do.
of it. Yeah.
They like so you'd go and you'd have a half mile of a log carry,
Right.
Right. And that adds up over
which
time.
didn't even factor in.
And there'd be 2 log carries.
So
right?
a beast, yeah, you'll have 2 log carries, a
bucket
bucket carry,
carries,
and a
Sandbag
couple other.
carry,
And all
a
of a sudden
log
you're
carry.
2
Yeah,
miles more.
You're carrying shit all over the place.
I had to call my now fiance. I called him at mile 12, hysterical crying when we got service. I'm like, who has a phone? And I called him. I was like, I'm okay. I think I just needed to hear your voice. I'm like, I don't know how much is left. But like, I just need you to tell me that it's gonna be okay. Like, I did that.
Send me a helicopter.
Yeah, I was like, I see civilizations. That where's the phone? I'm like, I can't. I don't even know. Like, how was that made? Like, you see pictures of people who are crying after races and sprints,
Yeah.
and like some people might look at that and be like, really?
Yeah.
But like, no, there's a lot of emotion and pent up.
I
like,
teared up.
I cry every time I do the Killington beast.
I definitely cried when I finished my first ultra at Killington.
Oh.
When I finished my first trifecta, I was at Killington. It was 2013, and when I crossed that finish line at the Beast in Killington and got my my first trifecta,
Yeah.
like I tried so hard, but I cried. I did.
Yeah, and that's, you know what?
It's emotional. It
It
really
is.
is emotional.
And you know what really gets me? It's the people that like for one, I mean, all of us here at this table are in pretty good shape, right? We've all run for years. We've all done a lot of things. But what about the people who get out for the first time?
Oh my God.
I mean, that amazes me. When you get somebody who has just gotten off the couch maybe this year and decided to get fit, and they're out there running a Spartan race, and it takes them hours to get through, like let's say a sprint, right? It takes them like 4 hours to finish it. But they finish it, and that's way tougher than me.
I think it's so much more.
That's way tougher.
As an SGX coach, I have the opportunity to go out and do the coach teats. Now, we used to do the course sweeps, where we would be, helping people who were the last people on the mountain through the course. And Palmerton, there are times we're out till 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, yeah.
Me and Natasha would be out, helping these people to make sure that they finished. Yeah. And I mean, it's rough. And we would try not to pull anyone. We try to
you let them move on their own. You motivate them every way you can.
So, and now we do the coach teats, which we go out earlier with people who are first time racers. Yeah. And this year, I think I've done 3 or 4 of those. Yeah. And I let everyone know I'm going to be staying with whoever's the slowest person, whoever's struggling. Yeah. Everyone else is welcome to stay with us if they want help through the course. If they feel like they can move faster and want to go ahead, they can. But I have people who have kept in touch with me afterwards because they're just so happy that I was there to help them through it. And I actually just saw a woman yesterday. She was volunteering. She had some injuries after she did her first race this year. But I got up to the A-frame down Ocean City, and
so many people
Ann's there, and she gave me the biggest hug. It was like on my 3rd lap, gave me a big hug. And I'm like, I got to get out for a 4th lap. But I'm like, it's so good seeing you. Yeah. Another guy who did a coach team with me ended up giving me a ride to the airport after Ohio because I was and coming out on a coach team to help other people with me the next time.
That's the amazing stuff, though, is seeing the people that really have to push to that point. Like I said, they're tougher than I am. Mm-hmm. Somebody who takes 4 hours to just stays with it and doesn't quit. That's a tough person right there.
What bothers me a lot about what goes on in the community. I mean, not to bring up a negative, but people are always putting the people down who have no experience, who aren't fit, who are just like, I just have to do this, who maybe don't do all the obstacles or don't do all their burpees, and they go online and they try to make them feel badly for their efforts. But people forget that there's always a starting point and there's never an ending point. But you have to give people permission.
I would ask those people, where did you start?
Yeah, where did you start?
I mean, did you come in here completely fit? And because I don't know too many people who have. No. And if you want, I'll go back in your Facebook page and we'll find where you were. And we'll throw that out there.
Yeah. So something I've always tell people who are like, how did you do that? Or what do I need to do? I'm like, first of all, don't overthink it. Yeah. If you really want to, don't do anything. Don't buy the right shoes. Don't buy the right clothes. Don't just even look at, just go out and be like, it's a hike.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hike with some metal. And you'll see what you need to do with it when you get there. And if you don't know what to do, that's fine. But you're going to get to point A, you're going to get to whatever your finish is.
Yeah.
Don't judge yourself and just see what happens. Because you need that jumping off point.
The only thing that I would encourage people to do, if they were to do anything,
bring water,
is shoes.
Get the right shoes. I was going to say, get the right shoes.
The most important thing.
I did Killington and Tuxedo in Reebok.
You see
flat fucking fingers.
I did too when I first started. But at Palmerton this year, when I was doing the coach team, I had a guy with sandals on with his 14-year-old daughter.
Oh, no.
It was 90 degrees and they didn't bring any water out.
Okay.
And then this woman who I just saw in Ocean City, so she was the one I stayed with for the whole race. But by the time we got to the first hike, I had to give a bunch of people my water because people were really heat exhaustion, dehydration.
For your first race.
So bring a little water and we're at least we're
stadium
sprint,
which are
that. I mean, you don't really need a Camelback for a stadium race.
No, but if it's 90 degrees and you're on a mountain,
we also don't know how many laps
water.
we're doing in a row without stopping. We never thought about that because we do
What's that?
There's a lot of water
stations.
stations.
Wear the hydration packs to stadiums. We don't stop them to ask them how many laps they plan on doing continuously.
No, we don't.
Maybe they're gonna do 10.
You think?
I don't know. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt.
I don't know. Just let's look at it this way, though. I mean, the only thing I'll say to that is a stadium race. Hey, if you want to wear a Camelback at a stadium race, fine. Go ahead. Yeah. Do you? Whatever it is, I don't care. there's a water stop at every mile, and it's a 3-mile race.
Yeah.
I'd rather be prepared than underprepared.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, and especially for
'cause
first
now
time
next
people.
time they're not gonna wear it.
Yeah, probably not. And you know, the thing is, like I said, to your point, definitely the one thing I would say, if you have to get anything to bring with you,
I do say trail shoes to be clear.
bring trail shoes.
Not to stadium races.
Some girls
Yeah.
say,
Do not wear
Bring
trail shoes.
no, you heard it here
Stadium
first. Bring
races.
trail shoes to stadium races.
there's a girl today.
By Rosanna. Rosanna said, "Bring trail shoes to stadium."
No. Some people wear them. They like it. But for the rope only, though.
I do.
Oh, I like it for
I
the
mean,
rope.
but
I
I like
do
not
it
ones
for the
with
rope.
huge tread,
Right.
but a little bit of tread. It
Yeah, I
makes
mean-
rope climbing and stuff easier.
What I find, I got so many different pairs from just the years, and half of them are, falling apart, and half are good, and whatever. I don't know,
Can't
but
throw them away. They're ugly.
there's certain ones that I've gotten, and I'm not going to go into different brands, but there's certain ones like that cake up with mud pretty quick, and you end up sliding down the mountain half the time. But you got to figure out what those are for you, and but definitely get a good pair of trail shoes if you're going to go out and do a race, because
Agreed.
if you're running around in tennis shoes out
my
there.
God.
It's gonna be a
It's gonna
bad
be a lot
day.
harder. It's
gonna be
It's
a
an
lot
injury.
harder,
It's an
exactly.
injury waiting to
I was
happen. Is
definitely
what that is.
surfing down the dry sand of Tuxedo.
Oh yeah. And you said somebody brought up the A-frames and how people are.
Oh my God! People get to the top of A-frames and they freak out.
Yeah. Well, it's I guess like we were talking about, if it's somebody's first obstacle course race or they haven't done a whole bunch of them, for people who've done a bunch of them, like you've done 300 races. I don't know what the whole count is. I mean, we
Close to
should maybe that would be
200.
fun if we
We
could.
should do that.
Total or
Yeah.
races?
That would be fun if we could total up everybody's races and
That's a lot of miles.
see
A lot of miles.
see what that is. It would probably be an astronomical number in this room, but the thing is someone who's just getting there and I know
People get nervous jumping over the fire.
I'll
I see
tell-
people stop
Yeah.
like right before the
That's
fire.
and A-frames aren't like they used to be either. We were talking about this the Palmerton race that I busted up my foot on. What finished off my foot was an A-frame. At the end of the race, there was an A-frame at the end of that race, and back then in 2011 they soaped up the other side of the A-frame.
What?
So when you went over, I actually have footage.
They
Are you talking
put
about a
soap on
slip
it?
wall?
Huh?
Are you talking about a slip wall?
No, I'm talking about the A-frame.
The netting.
You climb up the
Netting?
A, not the netting A-frame,
you're talking
the
about the-
wooden
the
A-frame at
slip
the
wall.
end. Yeah,
Slip
is
wall.
that the slip
That's
wall?
a slip
Yeah,
wall.
that's a slip wall. I was
Yeah.
like, they
With
run
the
soap on
rope,
an
the
A-frame?
flat wall with
It's
the
an
rope.
A-frame.
Yeah.
All right,
the
whatever.
A-frame
It's
is the
the
net.
cargo
It's like
net.
a cargo net.
Well, no, I know the A-frame piece. I mean, that's like I said, but the
Slip wall.
I guess I'm talking
Yeah,
about the slip
with
wall,
the
but
rope.
but they don't soap them up anymore. And
Yeah.
they used to put the
They did.
Sometimes
yeah,
still
they used to
have.
put
That's a tough mudder move.
They used to put these hay bales at the bottom of them.
Yeah.
Oh, so, you
So
sit
that's
down
what busted my foot up,
Yeah.
finished off my foot. Because I literally went over the thing and slid down the other side, and this thing had been out
At
all.
it was at Palmerton you did that?
Yeah, so it was cold, and it was that the hay bale had been out all night, so the thing was frozen solid. So you bash right into it. But I was called those A-frames. I don't know why.
At Palmerton, I think it was 2013 was the first time I got injured ever, because I've never played a sport in my entire life, so I've never been injured or anything. It was when they introduced the inverted wall at Palmerton.
Okay.
And when they introduced it, before you got to it, instead of there being nice cushy padding, there was a trench. About
Oh, I
4
remember
feet deep
that.
with
Oh my
water.
God, why?
That was awesome.
With water, so you had to go into.
You literally
trench
had to
with
jump.
water and
Oh,
jump
I just
up
jumped.
to the
So
jump.
if you fell back, you fell into the water.
Exactly, and that's exactly what I did. So I got all the way up to the top, and it was the first time I ever did it. And that's not an easy obstacle,
No.
especially if you don't know the technique on how
That
to
was
get
that
over
was that
it.
tuxedo, I think.
No, well,
You sure?
Maybe, I didn't do tuxedo in 2012.
Okay, because tuxedo is where they always brought those obstacles out for the
I'm
first
pretty
time.
sure
so
it was when they introduced it. It was
yeah,
It was
Okay.
Palmerton 2013, whatever it was.
whatever. It doesn't matter. But
So I
yeah.
get to the top and I fall back and I landed on my ankle and I hurt it. Like I heard it. I heard it.
Nothing
oh
like
my god.
nothing like hearing that crunch.
I've never been injured before, so I was more scared than I was in pain because
Okay.
I had never hurt myself, and I was like, oh my god.
Like, I need help now. I can't do this on my own.
Yeah.
Like, who's gonna help me?
I couldn't. I stood up and I couldn't walk, and I'm like,
man.
oh my god. And they were like, all right, should we call an ambulance? I'm like, no, I need to finish this race. and thank God, luckily, I think I only had like a couple miles left.
Yeah.
And I limped.
Limped
the
your
whole
way all the way down.
And when I got towards the end of the race,
That's an
all my-
Anthony Vasica move. He limps every.
Wait.
but when I got to the end, all my friends were like, where the hell is she? Because it shouldn't have taken that long. So all my friends were waiting for me. And I'm crossing the finish line. And it was, I mean, I'm not a crier. I'm really not a crier. But I'm crossing the finish line. And I was so emotional that, like, I'm hurt. I'm crossing the finish line. I start crying. And, like, all my friends, they, like, come and they help me over, like, cross the finish line. So it sucked. But I continued to race the entire season.
That's the insanity of what, you know, like I said,
me.
You know, you take adversity and you beat it up.
Yeah.
It's basically what it's about, you know, and that's why people do these things. I think it takes a certain type of person. Most people who do OCR events, who are doing it for a long period of time, are a certain type of person who don't take, you know, don't get beat up and just back away from it. You know, you run towards the fight rather than running away from it.
But even if you're not that person, this will teach you and show you that you can be that person too. So
back to the transformation piece. I mean, you could start off in one place and end up somewhere completely different. And I'm a firm believer in change. I think people change constantly. I don't think we're stagnant. We sit in one spot.
But as we get older, it definitely gets easier to just like settle into a routine, and we forget to like explore and play and push our boundaries. And like I try to use the analogy, like when you're a kid, everything is new for the first time. Like everything you do for the first time is scary and new. You've never seen it, and like we stop doing that as we get older. Yeah. And for me, like I've never felt as young and free and like had as much fun as I've ever had since discovering OCR. Mm-hmm.
Well, you get to run around. You get to run around in the mud. Yeah. Think about that. Kids don't even do that now.
Right, exactly.
Wait for the OCR video game to come out. That's what's going to come out.
Like if you asked me 10 years ago if I was excited to like be 33 and like live in my life, I'd be like, no, I'm going to be an old lady, an adult. Like no, I am so happy to like be who I am, where I am. I'm ready to get older, and for all the years of my future with all of this and the friends. And
my high school friends, they look at me now and they're like, this was not you.
Yeah.
Where did you come from? What happened?
What the hell happened?
I get it.
Because I never wanted to not that I didn't want to get dirty, but like I never wanted to break a nail, and I always had to like be dressed nice, and you know, and it's like now I'm like, I don't care if my
Where's the mud?
I'm not gonna lie, I hate mud. I hate it. If I can just like run around in the mountains and do obstacles and it's nice and dry, I'm thrilled. I hate the mud. I'll get in it when I have to. I mean, during hurricane heat.
You hate the mud now?
I hate it.
I prefer the
during a hurricane heat, they had us in this black mud and we had to cover everything, cover our faces with it. Also during a gogi to keep the bugs off of you.
Yeah.
I've also had to eat bugs during a gogi.
I don't want to eat bugs.
Well, you know the worst thing about the mud is the smell of some of the mud you get into.
So
it's
bad.
Like, I don't know where they get the mud from.
The farm races are by far the worst for the mud. So that's where I did a hurricane heat up there, and they had us get in mud and cover our faces and everything in mud. Yeah. And I did it because I was breaking in some gear for my first agogi, I think, or something.
Okay.
Second, I don't know, whatever. But I was like, when they're like, get in the mud, lay down, cover yourself in the mud. I was like,
I really don't want to.
with Spartan
but you just do it anyway. You just do it. And you know what? It's not the end of the world.
But honestly, with Spartan races now, they've
gotten less muddy.
They're not as muddy.
Which I
like all the smaller race venues you get a lot more muddier. Like,
but I can't remember the last time I left a Spartan race being like, I can't even get in my car. Like
in front
of like a little hose down. I don't even shower. Yeah, I don't even shower.
I remember the dial soap days.
Yes.
Of Spartan race. The dial soap days were the races that you got just got muddy. I mean, you came out looking like the swamp thing.
Yeah.
And the greatest thing in the world was
your shoes every
you went to the shower there and they had dial soap everywhere. Yeah. And you're like,
and it's a community shower and everyone's covered in soap and it's like everyone looks good and they're soapy and muddy.
Hey, you know what? That's fun. You know, the funny thing is everybody in the Spartan race community's pretty much showered with each other at this point. You know,
peed on each other. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Like, you need some help with that. Let me wipe that off.
But no, I'm happy because I get so many sinus infections from the dunk wall. Like, it's unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, the dunk walls.
I'm just one of those people, I guess. I get it.
Well, it's, you know what? If you're have a propensity to sinus infections, that's the way to do it. Getting that crappy water or whatever the hell it is up your nose definitely isn't going to help.
But it's like, one person gets an eye infection. I know that there was something online about someone getting some severe eye infection from the dunk wall and blah, blah, blah. But that's like one person. Do you know how many people go to that dunk wall?
5,000, yeah.
About 10,000 a weekend.
So, like, seriously.
Yeah.
And one person, like, ruins it for everybody.
The one that you know.
Well, I remember
We should hunt that person down.
in Barry one year when the rope climb used to be out of the water. I think it must have been 2015 because I think I was actually like competing, running elite. Not that I was winning. Not that I was winning anything. But so I dropped from about halfway up the rope climb into the water. But when I dropped, I just wasn't breathing right, and I didn't exhale enough, so all the water just went.
I did that in a tough mudder.
Then I proceeded to run the next half mile, throwing up.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just running and throwing
Well,
up.
at least you got it out.
Until I got to the
At least you
Tyrolean
got it
Traverse, where then I started cramping too. Oh, it was fantastic. And then I ended up with the worst respiratory infection.
Oh, man.
But it happens. I mean, what are you going to do?
Oh, I've come out of some of them races with like, oh, man, what the heck did I do to myself?
I go to the gym, and in the locker room, like, you know, the older ladies, right? When I first started racing, I would get undressed to, like, you know, put my gym clothes on after work, and I'm covered from head to toe in bruises. And these older
They're looking at
ladies,
you like, are you being...
Hey, do you need help?
Does your husband beat you? I do this to myself.
Spartan race, you know. That's it. You know, I mean, and that's, you know, like I said, it's those things that you get, you know, you get a ton of battle wounds. Sometimes, you know, you take risks in everything, right? And you know what? You got 10,000 people running through mud, running through all this. I mean, that's the amazing thing. When you go back, it really didn't start off with that many people. I mean, it was kind of like, you know, the community was very small initially. Because I remember we lined up the same people every single weekend. There's my dog. Be good, Storm. But we lined up with the same people every single weekend. I think that's how we all got really close, you know, in those years, you know. It's because you travel around with the same people. You're hanging out with the same people. And, you know, you all right?
You want to join the conversation?
What's wrong, baby?
Part of the party.
Couple minutes. But you know, it's if you're anything like me, you know, one of the things that appealed to me about Spartan Race was I needed something to train for.
Right.
I don't just train for the sake of training. That's not what I'm doing. I need some reason to do it. I need some reason to go out there, and you know, I need to have an end game.
Yeah.
You know, that being said, I mean, you know, I'm involved in a lot of other things, and I want to hear a little bit about what you guys are involved in as far as how do you train for these races, because
Every race is training for the next race.
yeah.
I've said that too.
It really is.
I started doing CrossFit 2 years ago.
Okay.
I was very resistant for a long time because I was just like everyone else. I was like, it's dangerous and bad for you and blah. But it's been some of the best training because it's like every single WOD is like a mini race against yourself. You're pushing whether for a time cap or for a time. So I felt like I was getting that same race day experience in my like day-to-day life.
And the element of competition.
And the element of competition and like my grip strength and my upper body strength. It was just like all-encompassing.
Let me let her out real quick. Hang on.
Fine.
I'm going to let you out.
Oh
I'll just put some music over this or something. Yeah, here we go. You want to go outside?
my god, this is like the worst podcast ever. I can't believe we're here, you guys.
I know, serious.
He's like the worst. Oh my god, he's coming back. Oh my god.
Stop talking about him. Stop talking.
All right. And we're back.
That was that. That was CrossFit. But I'm an actor in my everyday life, and I think like the rejection and like fighting for roles and you know putting in all that hard work, whatever.
Hang on.
Okay.
What?
I think that made it worse, Steve.
I know. What's your problem?
She's
Give her
too
a
smart.
treat.
She's like, you can't put a door in front of my face and expect me not to know you're there.
Give her a treat. Give her something to chew on so she doesn't bark.
You're so cute.
Come on, come here.
Give her your couch.
She's gonna be so big. She's gonna be huge.
Come here.
I can't believe she's only one. Oh my god. She's gonna be so
I can't imagine having
I know.
big dogs.
All right. I'll edit that out.
I do want to pitch one. No, you don't have to edit it out.
All right. I'll edit a piece of it. It's a long break, so.
I forgot what I was gonna say anyway. It's fine.
You were in
No,
CrossFit.
oh,
No, you started doing CrossFit.
Yeah, so in CrossFit, I'm an actor, and I feel like all of this has just helped me, like put a little edge like over my competition.
Okay.
Especially in my career, and so yeah, I'm just constantly fighting for more, constantly pushing for more, and then that energy just cycles over into
and that's why I got into CrossFit as a way to train for OCR.
Yep.
Like, because I was like, okay, after I didn't beat Hobie Call in that first race, I was determined. Remember a time when they had a hit out for him?
Yeah.
What?
They actually had a
like
contract on him.
Yeah.
To not a real hit. They weren't trying to kill him.
If you beat him, right?
Yeah, if you
got
beat
money.
him, I forget what the prize was, but it was a
money.
significant amount of money.
Yeah.
And the old guy beat him.
Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah, Novakovic, right? Was
Yeah,
that
He
it?
disappeared
Bear.
on the face of the earth.
Did
I
he?
haven't seen
mean,
He's
him.
still running around up in
Is he?
Alaska or
Yeah, but he
wherever.
hasn't
He
raced
like
in
runs
years.
mountains. Everybody
Yeah,
doesn't
just
come to
runs around
Spartan
mountains.
anymore.
Well, I remember the year that I don't remember what year it was, but I think it might have been 14 or 15 when Hobie Call got beat by Matt, and it was at the World Championship and nobody knew who Matt was. Matt just kind of showed up and won the race, and everybody's like, some Russian guy beat Hobie Call.
I think Matt retired after Wintergreen in like 2017.
Did he?
Or
Okay.
something. He was like,
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
After he came to our party.
Yeah.
Did he come? Oh yeah, he did come to our party.
Yeah.
Oh, we had a party.
He's like,
Well,
I won where I started, and now I'm
Wintergreen.
done.
Well, it's like I had to figure out, because I wanted to get better. And I wasn't that good. So I was like, okay, how do I do this? How do I get stronger? And I found this. Everybody's like, go to CrossFit. So I found that. And unfortunately, every time I find something new,
Then you become obsessed with
I
it.
become obsessed with that. So it's like every single thing that I get involved in. So now I'm like involved in 20 different things. But, it's always, there's always got to be an
I feel
end
like
game.
that's what's happened with a lot of people. Because back, 3 or 4 years ago, when everyone was racing every single weekend, what you do kind of evolves in people.
Yeah.
But then what happens is racing becomes secondary.
Yeah,
And it's like no one, like now, like this year, like I hardly saw like any of my friends in it,
Hey.
Well, I see you. I mean, there's still a couple of
You just offended everybody.
Perri and Kirsten, pretty much the only two I see at every single race. But
I
like,
think it's because it's getting very
Yeah.
expensive.
well,
it is very
it is very.
Well, it's crazy how expensive it's gotten. I remember season passes were like a couple.
$400
Yeah.
when they started.
Now you got to pay
over
like a grand.
$1,000.
Yeah, grand.
Well,
and I
honestly,
think it's even more if you're running it like
It's
an
over-
age or competitive.
It's over
heat.
$1,000, and the opportunity to get multiple trifectas is very small. It's a lot
Oh, yeah.
smaller than it was.
And then they even, at this point, it's like you used to be able to run multiple laps. Now,
Yeah,
you-
but everybody.
I mean, you still can, but
$14
Yeah.
every time you want to run around.
Yeah.
Like what? You just paid for the insurance for the whole day.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
paying for the insurance per lap.
Yeah.
Just paying for your time on the venue. Let's be real.
well, it's like I said,
Sorry,
things
I
change.
love
We talked about that a couple weeks ago on another podcast. How Spartan races changed. Remember the gladiators, and they had.
I was a gladiator.
Were you?
Yeah.
I was.
Yeah.
Oh.
Me and Steven, I won't call him Bowtie. Me and Steven.
You won't call him Bowtie?
No, why not?
That's
Because
his name.
That's his.
Yeah.
I didn't even know his
I
name
knew
was
him before
Steven.
he was Bowtie. I knew him before he was Bowtie. We were gladiators in.
First time I saw him with clothes on, I was like,
My fiance was like, you can't run Spartan races anymore. Who is that guy in the tiny fucking shorts and a bow tie? It's like, you're not allowed to be there.
Oh, he's fun.
Not
He's so
looking.
much fun.
that was great.
But we were gladiators together, and it was awesome because it was almost like we were like the Mickey and Minnie of that venue because
Yeah.
kids wanted to take pictures with us, and we were posing. It was so much fun, and I have so many pictures. It was so funny because I have so many pictures because at the finish line there's pictures of people coming through the gladiators. So I'm in a lot of photos just beating the hell out of my friends. So I have
That's
this
awesome.
one picture of me and Roman Pinto, and he's like gunning for me, and I have my thing, and I'm like whacking him. It's such an awesome picture. But I have pictures with everybody
You're in
doing that.
everyone's finished.
I'm in everyone's finish photo.
Is Roman still running? Because I used to run with him all the time.
He used to go to a lot of races, but no, I haven't seen him.
Yeah, I haven't seen a
recently.
lot.
A lot of people dropped out.
yeah,
a lot of
including
a lot of
myself. I
people.
mean,
including you. I haven't seen you.
Yeah, my race. I think I did one race this year, and I couldn't even tell you which one that was.
There's also a lot of other series that are coming about that people love, like
Yeah.
Bone Frog, Savage Race,
I love Savage
Peak City
Race.
Challenge. Like, there's just so many other places to go. You have to choose, so
Yeah.
it does spread us out a little bit.
Yeah, it does. And, like I said, there were back in the day, there was only a few choices. Now you have, insurmountable amount of races. I mean, there's like 5 or 6 races going on every weekend. In that, in the season now, where the season used to just be, okay, you got one choice, you got to drive to like South Carolina.
Well, now you can just go to whatever race and stay within the tri-state area, and you don't have to go.
I miss
For
the
me,
season.
I mean, I still plan on continuing to do Spartans. I'll buy another season pass next year. But
yeah.
I mean, also,
100%.
like you were asking about the training. For me, Spartans also has prompted a whole career change. I was in the beauty industry when I started racing, and I transitioned into the fitness industry. So I was in one of the first groups of Spartan coaches to get certified.
Okay, yeah.
So I built my my now career on that, on training people specifically for Spartan. Now most of my clientele is general fitness, mostly doctors. But still, that's the thing that keeps me motivated. I have to keep in shape.
Yeah.
I want to keep doing it. I still, I love Spartan. I
Yeah.
want to keep
No,
doing
no,
them. And honestly, there's so many other things. Like you were saying, I'd rather spend money on that. It's
Absolutely.
expensive,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
I also
there's worse things you could be spending money on.
And I also do get to do some work for them.
Yeah.
So it balances out. Now, the other thing is, at some point I have to make some choices, because I'm one of those people who I'm like, anything worth doing is worth overdoing.
Yeah.
So I do all the things all the time.
To the extreme.
I completely overbook myself. Like, I would love to have a weekend where I could be at home and do laundry. And I also have an 8-year-old son.
Yeah.
So
then there's that.
There's that. And I'm a single mother. So
Yeah.
I'm like, it gets a little crazy. My ex has him every other weekend, and I travel every weekend that my son's not with me, and I travel a lot of weekends when he is with me doing stuff with him. But I like doing the ultra endurance events.
Yeah.
So I'm going over to, I've been to Mongolia and Japan, Scotland for
Okay,
Gogi.
wow.
And now I'm going
She's
over
the
I'm going over
craziest out of
to
all
Greece.
three.
I'm going over
Okay.
to Greece in 3 weeks to do a Gogi back to back with Trifecta weekend.
Okay.
Those things
So
get
you're a
little
glutton for
crazy.
punishment, really, is what I'm
I
hearing here.
There's
There's a
something,
lot
there's
of...
some screws loose in my
Yeah,
head. I'm not
I
gonna lie.
think
Well,
I would have to
People
not...
are like, why do you keep
disagree
doing
with
these
that.
There's
things?
aggression for sure. Like, I remember the days where I was like, I will never do an ultra. Are you kidding me? Like, said that for years, and then now I've done
Now she eats
3.
them for candy.
Yeah,
Like,
I've done
like candy.
Well,
Yeah,
So-
I've done 6 ultras,
Yeah, it's
6,
only a matter of time
5
where
Agogis.
I stopped saying, I'm never going to do an
Come
Agogi.
do an Agogi, it's the best.
Let me
Come
tell
to
you,
Greece.
it
I'll go with
3
you. I'll
weeks.
go with you.
It
Not
takes
3 weeks. Next time. Next year.
takes a special person to do an ultra.
But there are these-
Even more special to do an Agogi.
But there are
So-
these other events too that are amazing events. Like I did Sisu Iron last year again because one of our friends did it.
Never heard of
Yeah.
And then he was on staff last year. Oh, it's amazing! 30 hours out in California. You should come to that.
Okay, I'll
Yeah,
talk
that's in
about
May,
it.
and you would like. I
Do
think
they
you'd
put
like
you
that
in a
better
coffin?
than a
Do they
Agogi.
put you in a coffin
No,
and bury you
it's
alive?
not death race
Oh, we'll
bullshit.
talk about it.
No, that's really like, and people are like, "Why haven't you done a death race?" I'm like, I don't really have that much of a.
They don't do
desire.
death
They don't
race
do,
anymore.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
gone. Yeah,
Yeah, they
do?
do. They've been doing it for the
They're
last
doing another one. They did one last year.
Everyone is
This
the
year.
last one?
No, they've started doing
No,
it
they
again.
brought it back.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
I remember when they did
I don't
away
know
with
anything.
them.
I don't know
I thought the
anything about
Agogi
it.
was to get rid of the death race.
It kind
to be
of
honest.
was, but
Yeah.
that's evolved
Yeah.
into
Joe
kind of
was
a
like,
different
"We're
sort of
doing
event.
Yeah.
And,
A woman won it this year, a girl. She was...
The Agogi?
Yeah.
No, the death race.
Death race, really?
yeah.
Okay, cool.
For number one.
Yeah, that's
female.
like I said. There's a lot of cool ways people test themselves, and these races and these challenges and the go rucks and all this stuff. It's all awesome stuff. It gets people moving, and and you have to. You can't
Yeah.
just sit
And
around.
Don't be afraid to start. Don't be afraid to be at your worst.
One of the
So you can
worst
find your
thing one of
best.
the worst things I hear from people, I'm going to tell you, is that I need to get in shape before I start working out. I'm like, how the hell do you do that?
Yeah, you can't.
Like, I've invited people to go to CrossFit and start doing some CrossFit stuff.
Group fitness can definitely be intimidating,
intimidating,
if
yeah.
you're not if you don't have any kind of physical.
But you got to start somewhere,
You have to
and that's
start
the thing.
somewhere.
And I'll tell you what, if for me, if I see someone shaming somebody because of where they're at, I'm not gonna. That person's not gonna have a good day with me
Right.
because I'm gonna basically let them know that they need to stop doing that. But everybody started somewhere. Every one of us in this room has started somewhere. You know, and most of the time it's not from the peak physical condition that, you know, people feel that they need to be at to even start. And you really don't. You just need to go and just get going. Just put one foot in front of the other, get to where you're going, get to the gym, get to the race, get to wherever it is, and just let whatever happen.
The key to consistency is to do what you like to do. If you don't like to run, find something else. Play basketball. There's so many things that you can do at a physical level. Like, find something you like to do. Play tennis. You know, like, if you don't like, I hate the treadmill. You'll never see me on a treadmill. But I like to race. I like to be outside. So you find different ways. Find what you like to do, and then just stay consistent.
Yep, absolutely. And you know, just keep going. You know, and don't break the pattern. You know, you got to just, you know, another thing I see with people is they go a couple times and then they stop doing stuff, and they say, oh, I'm gonna, you know, whatever reason it is, and then they just never pick it back up. You just can't. You know, you had said, I don't want to stop because I'm afraid to stop. I think a lot of us are in that situation, including myself. I work out 5 days a week, sometimes twice a day.
Right?
I love it. I love the way I don't always love it when I'm doing it because I'm like, you know, there's an old saying that, you know, everybody wants to go to the Super Bowl, but nobody wants to go to practice. You know, it's important. Practice is way more important than Super Bowl. You know what I mean? You got to get there before you get there. Anyone who's competed anywhere or has done anything worthwhile has gotten up at 5 a.m. alone, gotten on a rower or gotten on something and worked out. It's not glamorous. It sucks. But you're doing it because you have an end game. Yeah. Right, and that's what the end game comes down to.
Yeah, that's what I kind of consider, like, you know, look at the events that are like the bigger events for the year, and then consider everything else training for that. So like when I planned for my first ultra, that was
that's why you do multiple laps.
Yeah.
That's the way
obstacles.
the way. I'm not a runner. And people think that's hilarious when I say I'm not a runner. They're like,
You're a runner.
Ultra. I am not a runner.
I say
you are a runner.
But I'm really not. So I don't just go out and run around.
I'll agree with you, but I'm really not.
But so what I had to do, I basically did like a marathon, low mileage marathon training schedule. But because I was racing, actually, you know, I would put in that much mileage on the course. So like there were some races where I'd run 2 laps of a super, but then do an out and back just to get the extra mileage in to get what I need to. And that was awesome. I felt really good when I did the Killington Ultra that year.
I tell people the same thing. I didn't run at all for my first ultra. I was like, I ran enough races to know that I can move. Like, and then I did a lot of like squats and lunges and stuff. And I was like, I understand that my body is gonna be able to handle the stress, but I didn't stress myself out thinking that I needed to run 32 miles every day or every other day just to know that I can do this race.
Exactly.
Well, you don't need to. I mean, even to train for an ultra or train for a marathon, you don't run a marathon to do that. You run different lengths of space and different intensities to get ready for that race. But you know, it's really, you know, it's important, and what you guys are doing is important, and I'm glad that you guys are doing it, and I think it's awesome to just you know, be a picture of fitness and be out there doing what you're doing. I hope to come out. What's the next race anyway? What next?
Ragnar. Ragnar's next weekend.
Ragnar next weekend, and then
Ragnar.
Yeah, it's like a 24-hour. We have 8 people on our team, and everyone runs each loop once, and you kind of like going around.
So there's always one person on your team running for a 24-hour period, and you switch.
Okay.
So I haven't done one of them
so it's
yet.
a relay.
I want to.
It's like a relay.
Yeah, it's a relay.
She was going to be on our team, but she's going to be in Greece.
I'll be in Greece. So yeah, you can always come to Greece.
I can always come to Greece. All right, I may come to Greece.
New Jersey Super. Fenway Park.
Fenway is
Long Island.
Yep, Boston. So
Or
what's
San Francisco.
the Super in New Jersey's happening too,
That's
right?
first weekend in November.
Okay, so maybe because I'm actually leaving for a trip in a couple weeks because, you know, I'm doing the shark thing. No, it's the shark stuff.
I know you dive with sharks.
Yes, I did a lot of diving with sharks.
That's
so,
really cool.
yeah, if you want, check it out
I
on
wanna
extremelife.com. I have 4 spots left on my January trip for
Where's
Tiger
the
Beach.
trip? Where's Tiger Beach?
Tiger Beach is about 4 miles off the coast of Grand Bahama.
Ooh.
Are you in a cage or you're not?
No.
Oh,
We
no.
I'm good with that. I've petted sharks.
We can talk, but you have to be a certified diver. So you got to be a diver, and if you need to get certified, we can get you certified. Guadalupe, if you want to come out for white sharks, I have white sharks going on in
with no cage.
I want to go
with
on
a cage.
vacation.
With a cage.
Yeah, that with a cage. I'll be out of the cage, but
You're insane.
But no, we'll have cages and stuff, and it's a lot of fun. So
I enjoy all your videos.
Oh,
Talk
thank you,
about it.
thank you.
We'll talk about it
We'll
on
talk more about
Contant.
that. Yeah.
Coffee talk.
Talk more. But if anybody wants to get
Like that.
certified, let me know. We can get you certified and get you out there diving with us because I love adding to our group.
Yeah.
So we have such an awesome group of people that shark dives. We actually do feeds. We'll feed them out of our hands. It's awesome. I mean, you guys wouldn't do that, but like I said,
No,
we'll
I certainly would not.
but it's a lot of
Push your
fun.
boundaries. Do what's scary. Feed sharks. No.
Well,
Absolutely.
we talk about extreme life. We talk about getting taking yourself out of your comfort zone. You got to be outside of your comfort zone. I mean, I've been doing it for about a decade. I've been diving with sharks, so it's a lot of like I said,
I couldn't even handle your German Shepherd. Okay.
She's going crazy right now. So do you guys believe it's been an hour already?
No.
It's been an hour, and like usually, like I said, it goes by like that. You don't even think it, and all of a sudden there you are.
Bro, you talked.
I did.
You talked a lot.
You did talk a lot.
It was good.
Good job.
Who knew? Who knew?
Considering that's what this whole thing's all about is talking. So, but thank you guys all for coming on. I appreciate it. You guys are great guests. I want to have you back on at some point. We'll do a follow up, a part 2 or whatever, and because I'm having a lot of people cycle back on.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think it's been a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun.
too.
I love
Thanks for
I just
having
love
us.
talking
I
about.
mean, it
all
would have
this
been better
stuff.
without these two, but like it's fine.
You'll deal with that.
Perri
You'll
show.
tolerate them. You guys have been tolerated. But hey, it's awesome. Is there anything you guys want to plug? Anything out there? Any websites? Anything you want to talk
Yeah,
about?
sure. If you if you want to follow my Instagram, it's Spartan Chickie, and I just try to
Spartan Chickie.
Spartan Chickie.
Okay.
I changed my life. That became my handle.
Walk around with this one on at a Spartan venue, and I swear to God, you'll get nowhere because everyone from every direction is pulling her. Like, oh my God, take a picture with me.
I do love it.
I'm like, oh my God, Perri.
I was like, if I never
let's
get
go.
famous, I've got this little thing going.
My
for me.
God, she's a celebrity.
Well, I appreciate
I
coming
try
on
to
the
keep it-
podcast.
No, oh my God, stop.
That's what I said. I was like, oh, we have to have Perri.
No, I try to keep it real. I try to keep it honest. Like I go into like my depression. I have a lot of followers who have similar mental health experiences, and I'm just trying to motivate people to get up and change their lives and know that it's never too late and it's never the end and it's never over and anything can happen, and just like try to inspire people to.
Well, I'll tell you, I appreciate that. I think that's awesome to be able to put that out there and talk about it so freely and break the stigma.
That's exactly
because
it.
the stigma is terrible. Maybe at some point we could get you on, talk more about that.
I would be honored and I'd love to.
Okay.
Honestly.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. That'd be awesome. Anything anybody else wants to plug? Any websites, pages?
I actually am working on
nothing.
putting up a new website, so that's not done yet.
Okay.
But you can follow me on Instagram. It's my last name, Conant, Conant K1, on Instagram, or Kirsten Conant on Facebook.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you all again
Thanks
for
for
coming
having
on. Once again, this is Steve D at XtremeLife.com. Thank you all for checking out the podcast. Remember to subscribe. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, whether it's Facebook, any of the social medias. We're also on Liberated Syndication. And you can also find us on YouTube, so just check it out, subscribe, so you don't miss anything. A lot more cool stuff coming down the line, and I really appreciate these guys coming on today and working with me, and taking time out of their busy day. So awesome, and stay tuned and check out XtremeLife.com. Thank you.
On behalf of your host, Steve D., this is Bruce Buffer saying thank you for tuning in to Xtreme Life.